For all your Roto-World player news, go to NBCSports.com, where there's a new first-round mock draft from me as well, if you're into that sort of thing. But the injuries we're tracking.
Your mock draft's crushed, by the way.
Thank you.
Honestly, go back and look at his mock draft from last year at this time. Pretty accurate. Honestly, for where we are in the season, some really nice calls. So check that out, NBCSports.com. Again, I'm a company man. Again, do you see Jay giving you love? No, absolutely not.
Okay. Jay, this plotting against
Steven, this is what I do. I
I'm
divide
on
and
siege.
conquer.
I'm on
Exactly.
siege.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Kind of waiting for Lawrence to pop out somewhere and just stone cold stunner Jay.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
the show goes on. But listen.
Very Game of Thrones.
Keenan Allen did not practice with the shoulder injury. Pretty concerning right now. Tyler Lockett didn't practice. He's been dealing with this hamstring and feels like he's been able to get himself ready for game days each week. Noah Brown and Dameon Pierce were down as well. We'll keep an eye on them. Raheem Mostert. Seems like some management there. Devon A-Chain limited with practice, but things are trending the right way for him. TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson were limited. Hawkinson's dealing with rib injury. Jefferson trying to work his way back. And Matthew Stafford and Justin Fields, both with their thumb injuries in full. Good news there.
The two that concern me the most, one is, I don't want to say Pierce concerns me the most just because he's been out the last, but that's the one that feels like, you've been out for 2 weeks and you're still not practicing on a Wednesday. That doesn't feel great. The one that to me sort of jumps out like, oh boy, and again, it's only a Wednesday, but Keenan Allen just showing up on the injury report because if he were to be out, suddenly that Chargers offense looks Quentin Johnson and, Jalen Guyton, it just is like, how many times can Austin Eckler touch the ball is what that conversation becomes.
I think it's also troubling that Keenan Allen, so he hurt his shoulder, he came out, came back in, and then came out, went to the locker room. They put him back in as a decoy, and they just put him back in. I think he scored a touchdown after that, and now he's not practicing, so I don't know what's going on there, but that is concerning because they're already down personnel in Palmer and Williams, and to lose him as well, that would be big trouble. Also, Justin Jefferson, I think everyone just kind of expected that he would be back on Sunday night, and I think that's still the assumption. But, the commentary from Kevin O'Connell, not super encouraging, where they say that, he's got to ramp up pretty quickly to be able to play on Sunday night. So I think he's still going to go, but I was thinking that was 100%, and it's not 100%.
It's a Sunday night game, so obviously just make sure you have a pivot there. And we'll track this throughout the week. We'll see what he does today and what he does tomorrow, obviously. And then, of course, fantasy football pregame this Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern on Peacock and the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. 100% free. More questions. We'll talk about that all. Well, we're planning on it. We have a new producer on Sunday. I don't know what Steven's doing. Steven's boondoggling somewhere, and so we've got some new guy coming in for Sunday. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe Steven never comes back. Maybe it's producer Adam that's going to be on Sunday.
Wally pipped?
So
that'd be a tough situation.
we get Wally pipped. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Wally
That's why if I were Steven, and I'm not, if I were Steven, what I would say is, you know what? You know who should produce the show on Sunday? Is Jay. Because I know, listen, you got your job right back.
Yeah,
right? No questions.
Yes.
There wasn't even a question. They were like, Connor, can we send a plane to get you?
I actually came back a day early.
Exactly.
I came back a day early.
Exactly. They were like, Connor, please. So I think if I was Steven, again, and I'm not, but if I was Steven, I'd be like, who could produce this show that guarantees I get my job back next week?
Croucher.
And Croucher is the guy. But honestly, he went with Adam, who produces our Wednesday show. Adam does a great job.
No.
It's true. There's a risk factor.
There's
here.
a
What about
real
Blake?
risk factor.
Elevate Blake for a day. It's like
Penn
elevating from the
State
practice
Blake?
squad. Put Blake on the
Penn State
53-man
Blake's
roster.
not even there.
I
He's
know.
usually
Penn
sitting
State
there.
Blake,
He's
we just
gone.
all
He's
we're doing
done.
is nothing but Penn State, hey.
Big Ten.
Why
We actually haven't seen Blake
why
since-
are we doing a
since Penn
section
State
on
lost.
LeVar Arrington and Kerry Collins?
Jeez, God.
We actually haven't seen.
Those were the first two Penn State guys that came to mind for
not
whatever
Michael
reason.
Parsons. Yeah.
Saquon Barkley.
I didn't want to do
break.
something referent because
Right.
it's not funny if it's Saquon Barkley. We are actually going to talk about. You
Yeah,
see,
that's fair.
Give me a second, guys. I just got to explain humor to Connor. The idea here is that if we talked about Micah Parsons or Saquon Barkley, those might legitimately come up on Sunday. The joke is because Penn State Blake went to Penn State, he's putting in a segment that we wouldn't normally talk about Penn State players that aren't relevant to fantasy football at all.
Should have mentioned Jahan Dotson. That would have been a good one.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I always have a
hang on.
comeback. I start off slow, but yeah.
All right, there you go.
You dropped your pen. We haven't seen Penn State Blake since Penn State got decimated by Michigan, so he might not.
Actually correct.
Yeah, he might just not work here anymore. We don't know.
All right, let's get to the Thursday night football
Yes.
injuries as promised. T. Higgins out with the hamstring, not good. Andre Yosevas out with the knee injury. Devin Duvernay questionable. So the wide receiver injuries could play a pivotal role in this game here, Jay, especially, of course, T. Higgins being mentioned in that area.
Yeah, heavy load for Jamar Chase upcoming. Tyler Boyd as well, who was awesome against the Texans until he dropped that pass to win the game, but expect that the offense is going to flow through those guys, and even guys like Trenton Irwin if you're desperate in deeper leags. I suspect that Cincinnati's going to be throwing a lot tonight, and those will be the guys.
The 2 games T. Higgins has missed, and again, before you even get to, how do I pronounce it?
Andre Osivas.
Osivas, thank you very much. Even if we're getting with, I mean, his injury is actually more significant than you would think in terms of just, available targets, because he was playing some snaps. Irwin's in the 2 games that T. Higgins has missed, 10 for 114 and a touchdown on 14 targets over those 2 games. He's averaging almost 14 fantasy points per game in a game in which Cincinnati's on the road at Baltimore as 3.5-point underdogs. They might be throwing a decent amount here. By the way, I actually think Baltimore I think they boat race Cincinnati from an offensive standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, I just think I have Lamar Jackson at number 1. We're going to get into my love-hate here in a little bit, but I feel like if Cincinnati is to win this game, it ain't going to be defensively. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to have to keep up with the Ravens. That feels like a big game's coming for the Ravens offense.
Yeah, I think so. And also, think about back to the playoff game these 2 teams played last year where Tyler Huntley very nearly beat the Bengals.
On the road.
On the road. And if they just hadn't had that fumble at the goal line, returned 99 yards for a touchdown, they probably win that game. So I think Joe Burrow may struggle against what is a really good Baltimore defense that I think is going to be out for revenge after what happened last week against Cleveland. So it's a tough matchup for the Bengals and not that tough of a matchup for Baltimore after what C.J. Stroud and Devin Singletary did to them last week.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.